WWE's Randy Orton and CM Punk decision politically motivated, major finishes for Drew McIntyre versus Jey Uso on WWE Raw. The game returns to WWE to discipline underperforming superstar. WWE releases several employees. 40-year-old star returns to WWE to represent Bray Wyatt. Logan Paul snubs The Rock and praises Dominic Mysterio. Roman Reigns replaced as WWE's biggest draw. Let's jump right into it. Major finishes for Drew McIntyre versus Jey Uso on WWE Raw. In the upcoming edition of WWE Raw, Drew McIntyre is slated to face off against Jey Uso in a singles match. The clash between McIntyre and Jey Uso arises from their shared presence on the same brand and is fueled by their previous history. McIntyre has cited Jey as one of the reasons behind his villainous turn in the company. Adding to the tension in the recent edition of Raw, the former WWE champion brutally assaulted Jey following his match against Seth Rollins for the world title. So ahead of this anticipation clash, let's discuss 3 possible finishes for McIntyre versus Jey on Monday Night Raw. Number 3. Sami Zayn might cost Drew McIntyre on WWE Raw. One potential conclusion to this match could see Sami Zayn interfering and costing the Scottish Warrior his bout against Jey Uso on Raw. The rationale behind Zayn's attack is rooted in the previous heated segments on the Red brand, with McIntyre also securing a victory over Sami in the last edition of Raw. This interference might be a continuation of their rivalry. However, it's crucial to note that this scenario is highly unlikely to unfold, as recent reports suggest that the 39-year-old star has been granted a break from WWE. If Sami unexpectedly appears, it could contradict these reports and indicate a different direction for his storyline. Number 2. The Judgment Day might aid McIntyre in this match. Despite McIntyre making it clear that he is not joining the Judgment Day, there might be another attempt by the group to recruit him, this time by assisting him against Jey Uso on Raw. In this potential scenario, Jey Uso could be moments away from victory in the match when, at the last possible moment, members of the villainous faction distract him. This distraction would provide McIntyre with the opportunity to deliver his Claymore kick and secure the victory in the match. If this scenario unfolds, it might bring the Scottish Warrior one step closer to joining the Judgment Day. Number 1. Jey Uso wins the match via roll-up against Drew McIntyre. Another possible conclusion to the match between Jey Uso and Drew McIntyre could see the victory going to the former right-hand man, but with a win achieved through a roll-up. The Samoan star securing a win via a roll-up could contribute to Drew McIntyre's frustration, further accentuating his villainous character in the company. This turn of events might lead to a brutal post-match assault by McIntyre on Jey during Raw. The game returns to WWE to discipline underperforming superstar. Triple H has been seen as the main figure behind the scenes in WWE, but on screen he has handed the power over to Nick Aldis and Adam Pearce in recent weeks. The former WWE champion has retired from in-ring competition, but over the past few years has been a creative force without being an on-screen face. Nick Aldis has shown that he has what it takes to thrive in his current position, but it's quite clear that Adam Pearce isn't on the same level. Pearce was shunned by Randy Orton on SmackDown. The Raw GM is regularly called out by Chelsea Green, has been assaulted by Ronda Rousey in the past, proving that he has very little real power. Drew McIntyre broke Pearce's rule on Raw this past week when he re-entered the arena to attack Jey Uso despite already being sent home. If Pearce doesn't step up, then it's likely that Triple H will be needed on Raw to maintain control. Compared to SmackDown, Raw has been chaotic in recent weeks and Pearce seems out of his depth. Adam Pearce had been running both Raw and SmackDown for several years before the game decided to bring in Nick Aldis for the Blue Show. The CCO of WWE then promoted Pearce and made him the general manager of the Red brand. Pearce was able to control both brands when there was no comparison, but now that Nick Aldis is attracting all the bigger stars and has shown how to use his power, Pearce's errors have been spotlighted. Could Pearce be demoted by Triple H in the coming months? Do you think it's time for a new authority figure on Raw? WWE releases several employees. WWE has released some more names from the company. The promotion has made several changes following the merger with USC's parent company, Endeavor, in September. The two organizations have merged to form a new entertainment company called TKO Group Holding. While the merger represents an exciting new era in WWE, it also brought about many talented people being let go by the company. Over 100 employees were let go behind the scenes following the merger, and a bunch of talent from NXT and the main roster has also been released. According to Dave Meltzer of the Wrestling Observer, more names have been released by the promotion. Meltzer stated that Michael Wyatt, the senior vice president of financial planning, was let go by the company. There were more front office cuts and one talent cut on 12 firsts. The only name confirmed at this point from being let so were 5 major executives. Michael Wyatt, the senior vice president of financial planning, who had been with the company since 2006, was let go. This would be job duplication, as either Endeavor or USC have someone doing the same job. Wyatt was part of investor relations and was on all the quarterly investors calls for probably a decade, if not longer, said Meltzer. Meltzer. NXT Backstage Interview Mackenzie Mitchell was surprisingly released by the company last week. Mitchell announced that she was released from the company last week and noted that she moved across the country to work for the promotion. She received a heartfelt message from her husband, NXT commentator Vic Joseph, following her release from the company. "Today I was released by WWE. I met my husband, moved cross country from CT to FL for at Wingst, a place I've always considered home, and met friends that became like family. I've always said and firmly believe in when door closes, another opens," she wrote. WWE's product is hotter than ever at the moment, but the company continues to make changes behind the scenes. It will be interesting to see if any more departures are confirmed as the promotion begins to build toward Royal Rumble 2024. Are you excited about the direction of the company? 40-year-old star returns to WWE to represent Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt was a friend and brother to many WWE stars behind the scene. Braun Strowman, who has been out of action for a while, revealed that he isn't returning to TV for himself but for Wyatt. Strowman debuted on the main roster as the black sheep of the Wyatt family in 2015 and has since established himself as a popular name in WWE. The monster of all monsters has been sidelined from in-ring competition since May 1 as he underwent neck surgery and has been training for a comeback. During an interview with India Today's Alan Jose John, the former Universal Champion, opened up about his return and what is driving him to get back into the squared circle. The 40-year-old isn't thinking about himself, and all his focus is on ensuring he represents Bray Wyatt. "I'm so blessed that he saw something in me and believed in me if something happened to him and step up into that role to be the godfather of his son. So I'm not only coming back to represent myself, I'm coming back to represent my fallen brother," said Strowman. Bray Wyatt passed away in August and left behind a unique legacy in professional wrestling. His creative pursuits were well acknowledged, but he was also a love name backstage. Braun Strowman and Bray Wyatt were on-screen stablemates and rivals, but were even closer outside the ring. Returning for neck surgery isn't easy, but Strowman has all the motivation in the world as he has a bigger purpose behind his return this time around. "That's one of the biggest things why I'm working so hard to get back into shape. Get back into the ring because like I'm coming back for more than me. I have to come back for him as well, being that he's my brother." Wyatt meant a lot to Strowman and he can't wait to compete in WWE again and pay homage to his late best friend. Are you looking forward to seeing Strowman back inside the squared circle? Logan Paul snubs The Rock and praises Dominic Mysterio. Logan Paul recently named the 5 superstars he believes are the greatest of all time in WWE. The Maverick has been an active competitor in the Stanford-based company for over a year. Although his attempt to capture Roman Reigns' undisputed WWE Universal Championship failed, he won the United States title last month after defeating Rey Mysterio at Crown Jewel in Saudi Arabia. In a recent interview with Jazzy's World TV, Paul was asked to name his top 5 superstars in WWE history. Surprisingly, he snubbed The Rock and named himself and Dominic Mysterio on the list. Always a tough question. I have to go with John Cena. John Cena for me is the GOAT for sure. Probably The Rock. Actually, no, never mind. Stone Cold Steve Austin. Hulk Hogan, real legend, started all of it. Me, of course. And best for last, gotta be Dominic Mysterio, he said. After nearly a year and a half of absence, Randy Orton returned at Survivor Series War Game. The Viper later appeared on Logan Paul's Impulsive podcast. During the episode, Orton discussed how a match between himself and the United States champion would play out. If you and me went out there and we had nothing laid out except for kind of, a beginning, a middle, and an end, there'd be a lot of gaps to fill. There'd be plenty of time to be in the moment. For me, not having all these spots to remember, it gives you the ability to be in the moment, to be out there and actually listen to the people, he said. Randy Orton should square off against Roman Reigns before retiring from wrestling, says veteran. Roman Reigns replaced as WWE's biggest draw. Wrestling veteran Francine believes CM Punk will be WWE's biggest draw in the upcoming year. A few months after being fired from AEW, CM Punk returned to the Stanford-based company. The best in the world received an unbelievable reaction from fans upon his comeback at Survivor Series War Games. He also got a significant pop on Monday Night Raw and SmackDown. Speaking on her Eyes Up Here podcast, Francine addressed Punk's return. She claimed he would be the company's biggest draw in the upcoming year. "I think he's going to be the top draw for probably the next year or so," she said. The former ECW star added, "He's going to be, if not the top star, he's definitely top tier for WWE right now, and they're gonna make just a boatload of money, so good for him." Last night, CM Punk made his first appearance on SmackDown in nearly a decade. The best in the world addressed several superstars, including the undisputed WWE Universal Champion Roman Reigns. The 45-year-old sent a message to the Tribal Chief, reminding him he was the OG Paul Heyman guy. "Tribal Chief, I acknowledge you. Congratulations on all your success. Don't forget who the OG Paul Heyman guy is. Don't forget he was my wise man first," he said. Roman Reigns leaving the Stanford-based company after losing his championship to a 10-time champion at WrestleMania 40 is possible, says Freddie Prinze Jr. The WWE's Randy Orton and CM Punk decision politically motivated. It's seemingly a great time to be a WWE fan following Randy Orton's and CM Punk's comebacks. Following Survivor Series, however, Randy was chosen to open Raw while Punk was given the main event segment, a decision that Vince Russo believes was political in nature. Randy Orton made his in-ring return after over a year during the Survivor Series War Games match, and it was a moment that, at the time, felt like the biggest takeaway from the show. However, CM Punk's appearance after the match arguably took some of the shine off of Randy's return. During this week's Writing with Russo episode, Vince agreed that Punk showing up undermined what Randy Orton had done at Survivor Series. In what seemed like a politically motivated decision, Russo explained that WWE might have deliberately wanted Orton to open Raw to make up for the developments at Survivor Series. Yeah, bro, it kind of was. Like I said, I didn't agree with that because of that reason. I think it definitely was. That's why Orton opened the show and not CM Punk. Politically, they had to do that. Vince Russo claimed that WWE would have never stacked up two returns in the Attitude Era as they did at Survivor Series 2023, especially considering how long Randy Orton was sidelined from active competition. Russo continued, "Bro, the old WWE I worked with, if I had a guy out injured a year and a half, you would have never freaking upstaged him like that. You wouldn't have done that 25 years ago. The Apex Predator has been in the wrestling business longer than most current talents, and according to Vince Russo, Orton would not have been against having Punk also return on the same night as him. Randy Orton is one of the most respected names in the game, who previously had a controversial backstage reputation. Orton, however, is a more mature performer these days, and Vince Russo was confident that the former world champion would have given his blessings to Punk instead of showing resistance to WWE's plan. I bet, Orton is a veteran, and I bet he got it, and he understood, and he gave it his blessing. I'm sure of it. Do you think WWE made the right call with Orton and Punk at Survivor Series? Sound off in the comments section below.
I can feel the blood creeping up from the heathens. Got will, got fight, got pride, got reason. If they wanna go eat, then you know I'm gon' feed them. If you're coming for me, hope you're ready for a demon. I got eyes in the back of my head, I'm seeing